Booty is out. So Pete Buttigieg was out. There's United Nations Security Council meetings happening right now. NCAA is out. The Republicans are speaking right now. So let's see what they're saying, if there's anything interesting happening here. But this was 2 minutes. Okay, so 2 minutes here. Oh, wait, no, it was only 20 minutes or so. Let's see what Johnson said.
Having the majority is what's important. Is our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Good morning. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Christmas.
This is a good time to be an
happy
American.
Hanukkah
And I want to tell you that we've been watching with great excitement what's happening. It's 34 days until President Trump takes the oath of office, but he's already begun the power of the Trump effect. And you see what's happening at Mar-a-Lago. There's more activity there than there is on Pennsylvania Avenue because people around the world recognize that a new sheriff is in town. The leader is back. And yesterday he announced that SoftBank will be investing $100 billion over the next 4 years and creating 100,000 new American jobs. That's just one more piece of good news. Much more to come. America is already on its way to becoming great once again. And that's just because of the change of leadership. We're excited for President Trump's second term. You've heard a little bit about that this morning. It officially begins in January, of course. And he has an incredible team around him. I've been visiting with the various cabinet appointees, nominees, looking forward to meeting with Kash Patel and David Sachs this week and have been talking with all of them along the way. I think they're all on a path for confirmation, and that's an exciting thing. An important principle for us to maintain around here. The president gets to choose his team, and we're excited for that to be resolved in the early part of next year. But as we near the end of this year, I just want to say a word of thanks to the leadership team here. These friends have done a great job in helping us to lead the conference over the last year and the last 2 years, helping me for the last year plus as the speaker, and Leader Scalise and Whip Emmer and Elise Stefanik, who's our conference chair, who should soon be serving the Trump administration in a new capacity. Our Vice Chairman, Blake Moore, who's stepped in to fill the void here. An extraordinary team. They've done a great job, and I want to thank them for that. And despite all the challenges we had, we were able to secure key wins in this Congress. You heard Blake and Steve recount some of that, beginning with H.R. 1, the energy policy that we advanced, and H.R. 2 on the border. We held this disastrous administration accountable. We impeached Secretary Mayorkas. We held Merrick Garland in contempt
and then they
of court.
ignored you
we
guys.
fought to secure the border. We passed, as I noted, H.R. 2,
which
the strongest
we appreciate.
border
There's only so much you can do.
And legislation to stop taxpayer funds from going to sanctuary cities.
Chuck Schumer just ignored the impeachment.
Illegals who've been arrested for
Merrick Garland
committing
ignored
crimes
his
like
own contempt.
violence against women and DUIs,
Democrats,
Social Security
totally
fraud,
above the
and
law.
fleeing law enforcement. We did that. We advanced that legislation. We exposed Democrat support for non-citizen voting, and we passed legislation that would ensure that only Americans vote in American elections. I think the attention that was paid to that had a big deterrent effect in the election cycle. I think we put people on notice. That's a violation of the law and a serious offense. And we have to get that legislation codified in the year ahead. We launched a house-wide investigation into anti-Semitism on college campuses to protect our Jewish students and hold administrators who sympathize with pro-terrorist students accountable. We passed legislation to counter our adversaries since the Biden administration refused to. We passed a CR to overturn the Biden-Harris administration's radical rewrite of Title IX that allows men to compete in women's sports. We cut funding for military DEI programs and eliminated the DEI office within Congress. We made sure that taxpayers are not going to fund transgender procedures for the children of military families. There's so much more. We know that we're just getting started, and there is so much ahead of us. We're excited about beginning the new Congress in January. We're eager for what's ahead. We have a lot to do. As we said on the campaign trail all year, and I said in this room many times, we have to fix everything. And that begins early in January.
It's a big to-do list, yeah.
Let me talk briefly about the funding of the government. The CR is coming together. Bipartisan work is ongoing. We're almost there. We worked really hard to achieve consensus on a bill that responsibly funds the government into March of next year. It'll go to March 14. And that date was chosen because it coincides with the calendars of the House and Senate, and it makes sense for us to get the appropriations done. But our aim is to do it early in the year, not wait till March. And all the appropriators and the people on the committees of jurisdiction are already working to do that. We've been working around the clock to get the CR done. It was intended to be, and it was until recent days, a very simple, very clean CR, stopgap funding measure to get us into next year when we have unified government, the Republican
But what
Party.
about Elon and Doge?
But a
Let's
couple
have
of
them
intervening
come take a
things
look.
have occurred. We had as we say, as we describe them, acts of God. We had these massive hurricanes in the late fall, Helene and Milton and other disasters. We have to make sure that the Americans that were devastated by these hurricanes get the relief they need. So we are adding to this a disaster relief package, and that's critically important. Also important is the devastation that is being faced by our farming community. The agriculture sector has really struggled. They've had effectively 3 lost years, and commodity prices are a bit of a mess, and you've got input costs that are skyrocketed because of Bidenomics. You put all those factors together, droughts and all the other conditions, and you have a lot of small family farms and ranches and people who supply the food for the country in dire straits right now. And Congress recognizes that need, and so we've had to add a little bit to that as well. So what would have been a very skinny, very simple, clean CR has been these other pieces have been added to it, and a couple of things that are related to all that. But I'm not going to get into much more detail because it's almost done, but we do expect text today, and we are going to try. Let me answer your question in advance. I believe in the 72-hour rule. I've said that to all the House Republicans this morning. I believe we ought to try to pass this on a rule to go through regular process. We're committed to all of that. We're going to take care of these obligations and get this done, and then we're going to go to work in unified government in the 119th Congress that begins in January. Last thing I'll note, today we'll be voting on the Midnight Rules Relief Act. And we all believe in the separation of powers and that it's wrong for the executive branch to circumvent Congress's role as the lawmaker under Article 1. So with this bill, we're going to make it easier for Congress to flex that Article 1 muscle, review the litany of regulations that presidents like to issue at the end of their term. House Republicans are reining in executive overreach, and I hope this is a bipartisan effort. It should be, because it's about maintaining our role as the legislative branch. The first article of the Constitution. With that, I'll take a few questions. Jeff.
You said back in September there would be no more Christmas omnibuses.
Yep.
Not doing any omnibuses. What you said had to be added on to this bill. But how is this not yet another Christmas tree at the holiday?
Yeah, it's not. It's not a Christmas tree. It's not an omni.
Downstairs saying that they called this cram down. They said garbage.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't even seen it yet. I got a couple of friends who will just say that about any end of year funding measure. This is not an omnibus. Okay. This is a small CR that we've had to add things to that were out of our control. These are not man-made disasters. These are things that are
they're going to be
an appropriate role to do. I wish it weren't necessary. I wish we hadn't had record hurricanes in the fall, and I wish our farmers were not in a bind so much that creditors are not able to lend to them anymore. We have to be able to help those who are in these dire straits, and that's what the volume of the pages to this is. So it is not an omnibus. This is a CR. Again, we're not doing all the approach bills. We're doing a CR to patch us into the first quarter of next year so that we can put our fingerprints on what those final spending bills are. And we're looking forward to doing that. Yes, sir. Front row.
Can you give us a sense of how robust the help is for farmers? The American Farm Bureau says without a 5-year farm bill, without significant economic assistance, many farmers will go out of business. They won't be able to secure operating loans from their lenders. And
that doesn't sound good at all.
Need some kind of sustenance. In fact, the president of the American Farm Bureau put a figure on. He said, I asked him what would be satisfactory. It said $15, $20 billion, $30 billion realistically, but that's out of the question. So somewhere between 15 and 20.
Yeah, we carefully assessed it. We can't do all of it right now, but I think what you'll see reflected in this final package is of $10 billion, okay, to start that. In addition to that, the USDA moved some things around, and they've added $2 billion for specialty crops that they announced in late November. So help is on the way. And I've talked in the last 24, 48 hours to a number of the leaders in the ag community who say they are greatly relieved by that. They understand it's not everything, but it is something to bridge that gap and allow the lenders and the creditors to help those who are preparing to plant the crops in the spring.
The government has meddled so much in farming and agriculture. It's hard to even understand what's happening
at exactly the right time
with subsidies and then Commerce Clause litigation and all sorts of stuff.
But I think this is an important step for Congress. I think the people involved understand that, and it sends a signal.
Every time the government gets involved, Congress will not things break, and they need more money to just prop everything up.
If you have small family farms and ranches that go out of business, so they can't make it one more year.
Why would they be going out of business?
They're gone. The kids move to the cities, and there is no more family farm. You might have noticed nobody very few people start family farms. These are third, sometimes fifth generation operations. You have to have them. You have to have diversification in the food supply. You have to have producers so that we have fruits and vegetables and nuts and all the things that we need that farmers and ranchers provide to America. We cannot rely on other countries for our food supply.
Right, there we go.
The food supply is directly related to national security. So all these things are being factored in. Congress is doing
hollowed out our industries in favor of foreign countries. That's exactly why.
Let me go.
Last question. First of all, are you confident that you can get a majority of their own confidence about this CR? And if not, are you worried that competitors?
No, I'm not. Look, I'm not worried about the speaker vote. We're governing. Everybody knows we have difficult circumstances. We're doing the very best we can under those circumstances. With regard to the vote, yeah, I certainly hope and am working towards the majority of our group. One of the things I think that could be a factor in that is if we're able to push this forward through a rule, which I prefer, and allow for a pay for a lot of this, then I think that is something that's important to a lot of our members. Look, we also recognize that in the midst of providing the aid, doing the things that the federal government is responsible for doing, we also have a large national debt. We're excited about the opportunity next year of having the DOGE effort underway and for going in and authorizing programs again instead of just appropriating and getting back to the basic functions of government so that we can reduce not only the size and scope of government, but the size and scope of the national debt as well. So all these are competing interests. All of them are balanced together. These are the hard choices that lawmakers have to make. But we will get the job done, as we always do. We will keep moving forward. And in January, we have a new lease on all this. So we're excited about that. We're looking forward to that opportunity. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to all of you. I hope we don't see you here again before the end of the year. All right?
All right. So Mike Johnson's out there. More money for the government. And there's always some reason why they need more, why an unexpected event, a lightning strike, God spoke, came down from a mountain or something, right? And everything exploded. So they need more money. And that's where we're at today. So speaking of our government and their incompetence,